Hello, my name is Boon Hui and I'm the Executive Director of the Arts House Limited here on behalf of the Institute. And welcome to another installment of our State of the Art series where we have conversations with contemporary artists in Singapore, in the region and around the world. So here today we have a very special installment of the State of the Arts for you. We are here with the Singapore artist anGie, someone who has had a long history working with performance and particularly performance and vocalization, the use of sound and the voice. But looking through anGie's long and rich repertoire, her practice also involves many other genres, be it photography, socially engaged practices, drawing, and of course, in recent years, dealing with ceramic objects as part of performative practices. So hi, anGie.
Hi, Booh Hui.
Hi. So why don't we start at the beginning, since you're an artist who actually, if we look at your work, and I think we see some of it in the video behind us, over the years, you've worked with a multiplicity of mediums. How did you decide to become an artist, and how did you make the decision to use performance and the voice as such central part of your practice?
Okay, when I was young, I always loved to sing. Actually, I wanted to be a singer.
Okay, now we know that's the secret. Everyone.
And I was never really so much interested in school, but I was from a convent school, and during the time, I remember I love art lesson, I love music, but I do oftenly skip school. Because then, I love to go be alone and, go out there, listen to the sound, the environment, daydream. And I knew that, I can only be working for myself. I'm quite a non-conformist, so it's natural for me to be an artist. I was in LaSalle, and I graduated with a degree in fine arts, in sculpture too.
How interesting.
Yes.
Okay, because now thinking about your recent interest in ceramics.
I love clay. I love the hands-on process of making something out from nothing.
Yes.
During the time, I was always exploring on action, working with clay a lot, and at the same time trying to create different situations whereby I'm able to put the clay into context. I feel like I'm building my own factory in a way. It's a lot of mess. But I thought that was the best time for me to experiment, and I love the independence I have, and just keep on trying new ways and all.
So after your BFA, you immediately became a full-time artist?
After I graduated, I became a set design for like TV.
Oh, really?
Yes, for a kids TV program, but it was just a freelance job, so I've been getting a lot of job to create set design for TV. Yeah. It was tough. My passion for doing what I love to do, like my own practice, kind of made me realize, okay, I need money.
Yes.
So then I'm able to feed my passion. So.
Okay. Performance, so it was something that you had interest in that, but really you came into your own, right? Centered with your practices centered around performance. But I think it was always in a kind of social setting, that the performance, the body in performance for you always seemed to be tied to other bodies and other people around you. And today you call it, not community, but socially engaged art. Why was that important for you, that you really built it as part of your practice?
After, being in the state of experimentation, I realized, and I kept questioning myself, what's the meaning of me making art? If I can't share, I don't know what is the objective of me doing, And to present experiences is very important, and I wanted people on the ground to experience what I'm actually doing, so that they can perform with me or like me. I realized there's a lacking of sharing of art in terms with ordinary people.
Which is very different from people consuming art,
Yes.
watching or, you know,
Yes.
passively. You really are talking about people sharing with you in the sense of sometimes even performing.
Yes, something
you.
that is not collectible.
Mm.
I think that's very important, and they can't really describe why they like it. So most of the time when I engage with seniors, for example, to use their voice or to create movement work, when I ask them why they love it, they enjoy it. You know, they just think it's so fun and it's very expressive, you know. And as an artist, we have some social responsibility towards society, regardless classes. If we don't try to reach out to do the outreach, how can we know it doesn't work? And also, I think it's also based on artist methodology to bring forward and share that vision, you know, with people. I think that is very important.
What did you think was the first few projects that really was emblematic of what, or express what you just described?
I think there was a project that I worked with a group of 15 seniors. I created a movement and sound orchestra with them. They are able to use their movement and voices and then common everyday objects that they can find at home, like cutting or chopping with chopping board and pans and pots. And then I will conduct them as they become the instrument.
They become the
performer.
orchestra.
Yes, and then I'm also able to invite the audience to be part of this ensemble, whereby I will give them a certain instruction and they will read that instruction and they are able to express.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
And what was that work created for? What context?
It was for I think it was a People Association project.
Brilliant. I mean, already you're talking about a kind of also multidisciplinary nature in your work, right? And
Yes.
this performance you're eliding into, you know, as you say, a human orchestra. In the context of working with seniors, non-professional singers and musicians.
Without any art background.
Without any art background, yeah. So the artist provides the art background. And it reminds me of, you know, I looked at your website, how you describe your practice, and was very struck by how, in the end, what you're talking about seems to be that through artistic practice, it expresses this condition of being alive, even if you're 80 years old and you're not a professional artist. And that seems to be an important part of your practice. I think, you know, you've had a lot of work where you invite people to scream and shout. Why? Can you say a little bit more?
I feel voice is very spiritual. It's a very emotive empowerment tool, you know. It's internal energy. And I love the fact that it's intangible. And sometimes you don't really need to talk, you just scream. And that says so much. It's like a catharsis release, you know. We should stop trying to make sense sometimes. To believe our gut, to believe our intuition, to train that. I just love everything that makes us human. Being alive is amazing, and being present is very important in our current COVID situation. Confronting the reality. I mean, for me, a lot of work, oftenly trying to make sense for myself, but when it come out, I don't wish it to make so much sense.
So what is
I
it?
just hope that people could have their own interpretation based on how they are feeling, because we oftenly have so many different emotional states. Maybe that moment will resonate better with somebody when they are in that situation, you know. And I wanted to embrace that diversity. I mean, I'm always interested in spirituality, psychology, anthropology. So to uplift the human spirit has always been kind of my core objective in my art making.
I'm very struck by your methodology in how, not what you are trying to do, but how you do it, because many of your projects, you know, is trying to provoke and draw out responses from participants or people who share in that moment with you, or try to share in that moment with you. And for example, the project we commissioned in the Museum of Art in Lyon in France in 2015 as part of the Singapore Festival in France, you know, which you later adapted for the Asia Society Triennial. You know, what was interesting was that the whole thing was also an invitation to whoever came to the museum to to come into the work, to participate in the work. And when you do projects like this, how much cultural context is there, or are you going for something that you think different cultures can react to? I mean, that's something that was done, here in France, in Lyon. It went to New York. What were the differences? Did you have to adapt anything?
It has a lot of instructional components.
Yes.
Because I always think an artwork like a product in a way. So a product comes with a user manual.
Yes.
And then they have the wrapping. So it comes in a set.
Yes.
So oftenly I have different components like illustration, installation, fabrication, all the different medium that I use to create an installation. For the American audience, it's a bit more challenging because they are not supposed to touch the hammer.
Also,
Okay,
it was
they
during
can't
COVID.
use it, correct.
It was during COVID.
So I was thinking in that case, you can actually catch the shadow, while like, so the work itself is called from shadow to shaman.
Yes.
So in a way, shadow for me is very poetic.
Yes.
So I try to kind of readapt to the
Yes.
situation by creating a silhouette of shadow.
But in France, they were actually
Yes,
physically
and
using
I think
them.
all were used,
Yes,
well
it was.
used. I thought everybody needed that knob.
Yeah, our French partners were very funnily telling us there's a lot of emotion, pent-up emotion to release. So as an artist who uses performance coming from Singapore, has there been a difference in how your performances are received? And I only say this because I saw you perform in Lyon at the opening, and the French audience and press, the first expression I noticed on the face, they were just shocked
Jaw
when you
drop.
started singing. And literally there were all these people doing what's going on?
Yeah. I think my most memorable time while doing performance was in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very small festival, but it's a very important performance art festival called NIPAF.
Where was that?
In Tokyo.
In
So we were actually, I feel like we are in a circle troupe, traveling around Japan doing performance art. I remember I have to perform on the street. I mean, we were given the road. I always remember that image, that I did it in that area. But then, when I start to do my vocals, there's a lot of people coming up to me after, and they were in tears. Maybe there's a lot of suppressed emotion whereby I'm able to let it out like that, I guess they felt something there.
But what about Singapore?
Home ground is always, for me, it's always more challenging. Because when you're overseas, you don't know anybody and you're nobody. So, you feel more free. Over here, I mean, maybe there's people with certain expectation coming to see and then realize, oh, this is what she can do, But honestly, I just love the fact that before I perform, that butterfly in my stomach. I'm not nervous, but I just love when my heart beats so fast. Action is very spiritual for me.
Yes.
So is the voice coming from me.
Yes. You're sort of the kind of, eclectic nature and embracing nature of your practice extends into, collaborations with other artists, particularly artists who work in the setting of a theatre. In 2022, as part of SIFA, the Singapore International Festival of Arts, you're actually the visual artist that's working with Drummer Box on a project on Pulau Ubin.
Yes.
Mosquitoes and all, I suppose. So say a bit about what you're doing and why do you think you're there?
Honestly, I always enjoy working with theatre company.
Why?
Being an artist is so lonely. Working in theatre, you feel that community bonding, and I think that is something that being an artist, I don't have.
And
I
your
don't feel
practice,
that.
because your
Yes.
practice, it's always about the social.
That kind of makes me want to be with people, But in a theatre setting, it's like you are building towards a common goal, and all of us are part of it.
So what are you doing?
I'm creating a soundscape for a sound installation at various sites, and also maybe it will start from the boat, right?
Yes.
So I'll be mainly creating the sound design for certain part of the piece. Yeah. I'm an untrained musician. I'm self-taught. For me, sound is very visual, you know.
Why?
It makes me imagine, you know,
Okay.
if I think about trees, maybe, you know, I could imagine like the sound. So it's interrelated, you know, and that add colors to sound, right? I'm very fluid. My working methodology is very fluid. I can be inspired by things and then I can transcend them into sound. I don't have pressure, you know, to kind of make it sound like music.
Yes.
But I think of it as a soundscape, emotional soundscape of the environment, you know.
You know, as part of your socially engaged practice, you had a long running project with a hospice, with hospice patients. Could you say a little bit more, why are you there?
I think a lot about the idea of life and death, you know, mortality. I actually started a socially engaged project on the process of aging and towards the end of life. And I think to work with hospice was a natural way for me to find out, to make my field trip there, to interview the folks, you know, to create workshop with the folks, you know, getting to know them.
These are the
interact with
residents
them.
there?
They are daycare.
Daycare,
They
okay.
are folks from the daycare. So for me, first-hand knowledge is very important. The practical knowledge for me is really going to the ground and find it out, rather than just doing my research on the internet. I need that reality to convince myself. Yeah, it's challenging, but I was kind of emotionally prepared to see some of my folks. Maybe last 2 months I was with them, and now they're actually not around anymore. I think 3 of them has passed on.
Okay.
It hurts, you know, but that hurts become a strength, you know. And I kind of also getting prepared myself that my day will come.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but at least, you know, I know, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
As an artist, what do you hope will come out from that, this project and this process?
It will be actually be out next March as a publication and the documentary. I think it's important to promote empathy through arts, you know. And the way how I reframe this project, it will be quite different, you know. It's like I'm trying to capture what makes us human, you know, and that humane element is so important in society. And at least I want people to get ready, you know, and maybe how they are able to deal with themselves when that situation arises. May it be their siblings or, you know, people they know. I think we can't escape from that.
It's very consistent what you said earlier about your practice as a kind of expressing the condition of life, what life
human condition
is. Like to be alive is to be able to express what it means to be alive, you know. And even if it's in this case, it's really about the inevitability of the end of that life. You also have recently set up a small studio next to the Dragon Kiln in Singapore, to Tao Kwang. So, of course, your long-standing interest again in ceramics. Why are you embarking on this project?
The Dragon Kiln for me is a very interesting acoustic space. I'm not looking at it as to fire the clay works, but as a site, as a heritage site, you know. And it has so many like very rustic elements. You know, if you stay there more than half an hour, you'll feel like your face is darkened because of the soot. Yeah,
Oh, it's falling.
Yeah, it's just very powdery, you know. And you feel like you're in the body of a creature. Yeah. For instance, in that context, it's dragon, mythical creature, you know. And I thought, you know, in the near future, I would like to curate a series of exhibitions in the space itself.
In the kiln itself.
Yes. To celebrate in a way, to use the space. Because right now, it's just being left abandoned in a way. Or because it's a heritage site, nobody dare to touch it.
So what are you actually doing?
I wanted to reinvent the space. Exhibition space, as a sound recording space, band could record their album there, you know. And also a space where you are able to seek, you know, solace.
It's really lovely that even in a ostensibly static space, that has all these layers of history and heritage meaning, what you're bringing to the space is again building a kind of circles and networks of people,
Yes.
who come maybe from allied arts practice or maybe not, to, in a sense, recast what possible meaning this space could have for us now.
Definitely, because space is so limited in Singapore, and at the same time, you want people to appreciate the space. You need to create programs, so that you can kind of brighten up the space again.
When this interview comes out, it will be Singapore Artway in January. And right here where we are sitting right now, you have a big time-based durational art festival. And I think it's really exciting but completely nuts and crazy that you are bringing together. I mean, the program is amazing. You're bringing together, almost 20 artists, whose practice intersects with this idea of time or durational based art, many of which are performative. Why the shift suddenly to being, an actual creator of singular art projects to suddenly, organizing, well, for all intents and purposes, a festival?
I feel it's very important to make connection, as our art community is so small.
Yes.
And this is the best way for me to bring everyone together of different diverse art practices. Initially, I actually proposed this to Kai Lam to do this festival with me because he has a lot of experience.
Yes.
And this is my first.
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, let's do this. We only like a team of 5 of us, and we try to like our best. We're all multitasking.
It's a very ambitious program.
Yes.
Not just performances, you have panels and so on. And I was quite pleasantly surprised.
I'm trying to reframe how we look at performance art. Artists are wearing the time within the space. Over time, the action evolves. So in that case, I could invite theatre practitioners who deal with space, and also musicians who
That's why you
count
have anGie
beat.
pin.
Yes, and also who count beats, and
Yes.
all these are time related. It's nice to also have them coming together to create collaboration with one another, which we also kind of pair them up together.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we emphasize a lot on improvisation because in a way we want the artists to treat it as a testing ground and also as a lab, whereby you're able to even forge new friendship. Like we have not seen each other for so long, during the COVID. So come, let's get together and do something physical, like create this, to be part of the festival.
Yeah, because of COVID, I think even something like this is suddenly now radical.
Yes.
Almost, because we've been in our own little island.
Yes.
So I thought it was very interesting.
And it's
The
called
name was
islands.
called Islands, because
Yes.
that's what we've been in COVID.
Yes,
Everybody
correct.
has been in their
That's
own.
how we should connect, or intersect.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited and I'm very touched by all the invited artists who in fact do us such a wonderful favor, to make this festival possible, and our team, and we'll try our best to present.
So as an artist, to conclude, as an artist, what, after this theoretical construct at the moment, this thing about after the pandemic, where do you see your practice going?
After being stuck at home for 2 years, I begin to see Singapore in a different light. I begin to explore even deeper, into people's life. There's so many creative possibilities for me to do. Where I was working on my socially engaged project, I find Singapore is such a wonderful place because of the people. I realized that without the people, there's no Singapore. And the resilience of the human spirit of Singaporean is so inspiring for me. And I thought, okay, even if I don't need to travel, it's fine. There's so many material for me to work with here, So I try to work within my limitation, reframe my practice, and internalize all this knowledge you know, by getting in touch with people.
Within our physically restricted location, there are already these very deep and personal and specific experiences that you could engage with as part of your practice.
Yeah, like create collective stories, you know. It's amazing. I mean, Singapore is a wonderful place.
Okay, I think we'll put you in an ad somewhere.
No, it's true.
Great. Congratulations, and we look forward, well, I certainly look forward to the island's time-based
Yes, thank you so
traditional
much.
art festivals happening right here,
Yes,
in
yeah.
this place. You know, anyone who's interested in performance, for example, in Singapore, you cannot miss this.
And it also be live streamed on our Facebook page. Yeah.
Excellent. Your practice is very wide-ranging, but really this idea of the value of sociality, of connecting to people,
Art
seems
is for
to
everyone.
be really, yeah. But what's interesting is that you've defined it in this term. It's not about a common denominator. It's not about dumbing down. It's about that art is a provocation to create a kind of community, even if it's for the duration of that performance or that experience. I think that seems to really define your work. In your performances, you're like really very far away from this idea of the lone, you know, the artist as a hero performing, which is why your work has a lot of instructions to the audience.
We should give them the freedom, you know.
Yeah,
I
but I
cannot
find
dictate.
your projects are the least like, let's just go and see the exhibition. You always have to like commit to doing something.
Yeah,
That's so
make
special.
people work. No.
Okay, you heard it here from the artist. So thank you, anGie.
Thank
and
you, Booh Hui.
congratulations.
Thank you for having me.